Hello, I'm Tony. In this video, we're going to take a look at 4 fighting games that Amazon's just released in their blitz of 25 free games in June 2022. All of these fighting games were released by SNK and were intended for the Neo Geo console. Fighting games. Where would we be without them? I guess we'd have to go outside, like the media always says we should, and do the fighting ourselves. And the media says video games cause violence. Clearly they don't. Clearly they stop it. Fortunately, we've got 4 of them. So join me as we check out Amazon's SNK Fightclub. And the first rule of Fightclub is to rip off Street Fighter 2 without getting sued. Well, that's certainly true for the first game we'll look at, which is Fatal Fury Special. This was released way back in 1993. And probably couldn't be closer to Street Fighter 2 without ending up in court. Now, full disclosure, I am not the best beat-em-up player in the world. Even in my prime, when I played Street Fighter 2 in the arcade constantly. I was okay, held my own, but this game kicked my butt. Right, basics first. We have a launch screen that gives us an options menu for the games, which is a holdover from the Neo Geo, that allowed you to set jumpers on the console to set difficulty levels and the like. For anyone that doesn't know, jumpers are things you don't need to care about anymore. The options screen allows you to change sound levels and make the game full screened or windowed, set how many continues you have, and a difficulty level between 1 and 8. Now I kept it at a default of 4, which I'm going to do for all of the games. Gameplay is exactly what you'd expect. The various different combinations of directions and punches and kicks let you put off special moves. I tried playing with both a controller and a keyboard and found it was a bit easier to pull off some of the moves with the keyboard, though the second kick button was pretty hard to get to for keyboard play, so I kind of didn't use it. Now, a really cool feature that I don't think is mentioned anywhere is that you can play a 2-player game on one PC if you have a controller, because one of you can play via the controller and the other one play on the keyboard, which is cool and works on all 4 of these games. I actually found the controller a little bit harder to pull the special moves off, because the joysticks have that much more freedom of movement than the old style joysticks did for the old consoles or in the arcade. So getting the specific directions right and the required arcs of direction were pretty hard. Now this felt like playing Street Fighter 2 back in the day. I mean, I'm playing Ken, right? It's the same. I don't know how they got away with it. Having said that, the game is still a decent Street Fighter 2 clone, but it also has combo attacks and a good roster of like 15 characters. I just found it hard. I mean, I could not beat the Ken clone that I met in the second fight at all. Now, I've not got skills yet for each fight, obviously. I only played for an hour or so, and I couldn't reliably use the special moves, so it's probably just to get good situation. But there were times it felt a bit unfair. I'd get stun locked, and that would be it for the fight. But the controls are fine. They were responsive, so I couldn't blame the game for losing, unfortunately. I wouldn't pay money for this game, and I probably wouldn't recommend it over a newer version of any of these beat-em-ups. But if you want a real old-school retro fighting game, it was certainly Street Fighter 2. Moving on, the next game is Samurai Showdown 2. This came out a year later in 1994 and makes a couple of additions to Fatal Fury. It also has 15 fighters to choose from and gives the same options on the launch screen as Fatal Fury does, though there is an additional blood display switch and a speed setting. What is new in this one is a rage system, which builds up a meter as you get hit or parry an attack, and the rage meter gives your character temporary bonuses of additional damage, improves your special moves like an upgrade to it, and apparently does other things which I was nowhere near good enough to figure out. The game also adds the potential for disarming opponents, which restricts the range of moves that they can make, or you if you lose your weapon. I saw this a few times in my couple of hours play, and it's pretty easy to grab your spear or sword back with a key press, so it didn't seem like that big a deal to me. Maybe it is for people that are better at the game. This game felt a lot fairer to play to me. Like, one mistake didn't stun lock you to death. And even with my basic skill level, I could still beat a few opponents, which made me like it a bit more. I felt like I was getting somewhere. This game is much less of a copy of Street Fighter 2, much more its own thing, so it's a bit different. Question is, does that make it better? Like, was Mortal Kombat better than Street Fighter 2? No, it was different and it was still good. Is this better than Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter 2? No, not really. Moving on. The next game is King of Fighters 2000. Guess when this came out. This is yet another twist on the beat 'em up, being a 4-person squad fight, which gives you the ability to bring in your teammates during your one-on-one fights. You fight one-on-one and you go through the roster as characters lose. As with the other two, this has the same options on the launch screen, complete with the blood on and off, and you can also switch it up so that it's no longer a 4-person squad fight, which is kind of weird. The graphics don't look any different, which seems a bit lazy to me. It's like they had 6 years to improve on them. Can they have done something? I actually found this the easiest one for me to progress without using special moves, just using basic kicks and a bit of timing. But switching between fighters when they lose kind of breaks the rhythm and makes it really hard to learn a specific character enough. Oh, maybe that's why there's the option to turn the squad off. Makes sense now. When you beat one of the opposing characters, your character with that health level moves on to the next character to fight, which again makes it a bit disjointed because likely you're going down pretty quick. I think there's a bit more to this than the other games in the sense that you have to choose your team and try to cover all of the other characters that might come in, so not a bad idea. How much it adds, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm stuck in my ways and I'm just too old-fashioned to adapt to this new modern type of fighting game from the year 2000. This one didn't grab me even as much as the other two, so I didn't play it as much as Samurai Showdown 2, for example. Unless you really want the squad-based fighting game, I'd rate this the lower of the three probably. Moving on to our last one. It's the King of Fighters 2002, so insert previous joke. This is pretty much the same as the 2000 version, except we have a 3-person squad instead of 4. The graphics haven't been improved, though the gameplay itself is faster. The default is just a little bit faster than the 2000 version. Unfortunately, I did notice a few more stun lock situations than the 2000 version. And there's even more characters that I'm not going to play, which is wonderful. Because of the stun lock stuff, I'd probably play the 2000 version over the 2002 version. It really didn't seem to add much, except more characters, which, don't know, maybe someone likes that. Don't have that much to say about it, to be honest. So overall, these games are very old beat-em-ups that still play fine. There's still something in the games themselves. And I'm sure people get an hour or two of fun out of them all. But none of these are going to be staying on my PC. If I want to play one of these fighting retro games, I'll just dig out my old Sega Mega Drive and play Street Fighter 2 on that. So, who won the fight? Was there a fight? Were we fighting? Oh, it is Fightclub, so I guess so, yeah. Well, none of them won. Sadly, they all perished from their many terrible injuries. Or maybe old age. I mean, they're all over 20 years old. I'll leave you with the second rule of Amazon Fightclub, is to not mention that they don't hold up that well. Anyway, that's enough for me. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.